Welcome to Flower Juice. My name's John McDonald, and today I'm going to show you how to make like a luxury table arrangement. So this is an arrangement that you could put on a large dining room table, and we're going to make one that's quite contemporary in style and also quite high in value. So I've got some really nice materials. We've got some beautiful roses. I've got these amarines, which is a cross between an amaryllis and a nerine. I've got some scabious seed heads, some callas, and we've got some beautiful protea as well as some foliage. So what I've got is I've got this really nice metal tray, and this is really a nice container that the person will be able to keep. And what I've done is I've used some of the flower frogs and just used some Oasis Fix to attach them. So that's going to hold our Oasis in place. But just to be secure, I'm going to use a little bit of tape, and we're just going to go round our foam. So I'm going around this twice, and that gives it a lot of strength. This is the problem with taping Oasis into a dish, is I really don't want to see tape down here or there. We could do that, but to be honest, this is an arrangement that's going to be held flat, so it doesn't really need to be able to be turned upside down. So we don't need to go mad with the tape. Okay, so what I want to do then is really just place our end foliage first. So I've got this lovely philodendron, and these are absolutely amazingly beautiful. Just really striking. So we're going to put them towards the ends. And this just gives us a little bit of length into our arrangement. Now, because I'm going to use some materials that are quite heavy, like physically heavy, we're going to place them first. So this is the protea, and this is a lovely flower from South Africa. And I don't really want to make them too tall. So I'm going to keep them a little bit low and a little bit central, so that we're really creating something that's quite up and down actually. So these have got a very large stem, so we could go bigger, but then we have to think about the weight of the actual flower. And I'm just going to space these down the arrangement. Now, our other main special flower are these beautiful calla lilies. So this is a good time to put them into the arrangement. Now, one thing we could do actually is we could use a stem to create a hole. And this is a good technique with these, so that you're not really having to damage the stem to put the flowers in. So it's just as simple as make a guide hole, and then we can pop in our callas. So we're just going to work our way down here. And this is going to give us a little bit of a difference in height. I'm going to keep turning this round because I really want this to work from both sides as an arrangement. And the thing about callas is you really don't want to cause much damage to the stems. So the less damaged they are, the better they're going to last. I really want to keep this generally vertical, but we can go a little bit out at the ends. But I don't want this to look too traditional as a table arrangement. And these are all going in. Now, if you're working with callas and you feel that they don't go in well, then just reposition them and redo them, because putting them in and they've got a bit of damage isn't going to work. So really and that's what I've done with this one that's quite low, but that's okay. So we've got a little bit of a range of different heights going on in there. So now what I'd like to do is, now's a good time probably to add some foliage. So I've got some pistache, I've got some beautiful fern here, and I think this is a fern that's called a pieris. So we're really just going to use the foliage just to go around the edges of our container, and so I can just bring them in like nice and low there. And again, just using things really in like little groups. And what I like about this foliage is it kind of really tones well with the container that we've got. And it looks a little bit different as well. So this is just a little bit of pistache. What's nice about that is it's got a good texture. And someone was asking me if this has a different name or comes under a different name. It really doesn't, as far as I know. If you know of a different name, then it would be interesting to hear. But basically, it's like a cashew. And I think there's lots of different variations on that tree. So it's like a shrub from Asia. And it just gives you a really good foliage that you can use. And I've also got some beautiful eucalyptus. So this eucalyptus is starting to go into the berries as well. So we're just going for a bit of texture, and also the fact that some of the foliage tones with the container. So really it's very simple putting this foliage in, because I'm really just following the line of the container and just trying to lose that edge. And then that's quite straightforward for doing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our amarines. And this is, as I say, a cross between an amaryllis and a nerine. So the great thing about a nerine is that you get a very clean stem and you get a product that lasts very well. The thing about the amaryllis is you're getting something that is bigger and showier. And really, the fact that the growers have combined the two just gives us something that is very well lasting, nice and showy, but has that strong stem. So it gives us really like a nerine, but it's bigger. And I'm just putting these in quite a random way. So one of the features of this flower is actually the stem. And it would be a real shame just to cut these really, really short and lose that stem. So we're going to keep the stem and keep it nice and long. I think the fact that they kind of go in slightly different ways is really interesting. Perfect. Okay, so we've got, again, a different layer of flowers and interest. And I'm going to add some of our lovely scabious. So again, this is going to give us more interest and more height. So this is the seed head of scabious. Scabious, you'll know, is a blue summer flower. And once it goes to seed, then basically this is what you get. The great thing with these is you can use them again if you're able to do that. They're essentially dried. So actually, if you look at it slightly side on, we're wanting it to be a little bit either side. So if you can imagine a large dining table, maybe the proportions of our work table here, this is where this is going to be placed. Okay, still got one. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more foliage just up into the arrangement. But I don't want this to be particularly long. This is really just to give a base, because our next flower is going to be these beautiful roses. So rather than put the roses in and find that we've got some gaps, we'll just put some foliage now. So again, just giving us some more texture. And we might as well put this all in. So it's been really great lately getting a lot of feedback and a lot of comments on videos. We love seeing what people think and what people are saying. And actually some of you have sent us some pictures of work that you've done or things that you have locally. So maybe the place where you work or the kind of work that you do. And we really love that. It's really interesting to see what people do and just the difference between like maybe where we are and where you are. So don't be shy. We like to see what people do. So send us a photo. We like that. Now, we've got our base. We've got our flowers, our main flowers in, and we know that they're in nice and secure. So now I can really just start adding some of these beautiful roses. And with these, I really just want to keep these nice and recessed. So I'm just going to turn this around and show you. So yeah, really just keeping them nice and tight into the arrangement is what we want to do. So probably best to put one or two into the center first. And then we can just work our roses down the sides. Now actually with this, you can use some of this foliage as well. Don't feel that you have to always put it in the bin. If it's in good condition, then it's perfectly usable. And in a way, it's actually a nice base for the roses themselves. But don't use it if it's looking a bit poor or a bit damaged. So we've got quite a lot of roses here, so bear with me. I'll turn this round so you can see how we're starting to achieve the look that we're after. But this is going to be a double-sided arrangement, so we need to get them in. And this is really where having a knife makes a big difference. A knife is nice and quick for working. So it's also better for the flowers. With a pair of scissors or secateurs, you tend to crush the stem, whereas with a knife you get a nice clean cut. So I'm just working over the whole arrangement in quite a random way. That way, if we get to a certain point where we run out of roses or it's looking like it doesn't need any more, they're already spaced out nicely. Whereas if I tend to work one area, I could end up moving to another area and finding that I don't have enough material or the material's not sitting right. So this arrangement doesn't really have a theme as such, but it is going into a location that's quite modern, quite sleek, quite white. And this will look just perfect because it's going to bring a zing of colour into that area. And it's going to bring a bit of height onto the table and a bit of interest to that point in the room. And I think this is the thing, is if you're making something to be special, it's nice to try and think of where it's going to go. So rather than just making an arrangement for the sake of making an arrangement, we want to make something that has a purpose. So I'm just dropping one or two of these roses right in, nice and recessed, so that it makes you look in and it makes you look closely. And again, it's just giving a little bit of variation in height between the flowers. Right, so the last thing to do is just to really have a little look over. I've got a little bit of this hard ruscus, so I'm just going to make sure that there's no little gaps. If there is, we're just going to pop that in and just fill them in. So really it's just like a kind of final check down here. So essentially we've created a really nice dramatic centerpiece. We've used some really nice materials and we've shown them off to best advantage. The fact that the roses are massed really draws the eye, and that creates a base to showcase our beautiful callas, our proteas and our amarines. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I think we've got a really nice design, and I would be really pleased if this was on my table. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to keep up to date with all our videos, then click here to subscribe, and hope to see you soon.